family, once a death in the family, the board will be presiding over today's, or tonight's, or this evening's city council meeting. At this time, regular meeting of the city council of the city of Pearsall, Texas, being held today, Tuesday, June 10th, at 7 p.m. at the Pearsall City Hall, 215 South Ash Street, Pearsall, Texas, is now being called to order. For the record, let it be known that we do have a quorum. President Odelia Real, President James Real, President Alex Hernandez, President Manfred Martinez, President Roy Trevino, and President is Maggie Ariza, and President is myself, George Cavazos. For the record, let it be known that Mayor Karina Trevino is not present here. At this time, Mr. Medrano is going to lead us in the invocation and the pledge of allegiance.
Let us pray. Lord, we give thanks for this opportunity you give us to come boldly before your throne in your presence. Lord, we thank you for the life and liberty we have in you. We pray for direction, unity, and peace for this community. We pray for also for the family of Jose Luis Perez in the time of great sorrow. We pray for them and their family. May your will be done in this meeting. In Christ Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we can go any further, I would ask that please off cell phones on silence, please, or vibration only, if you can, to avoid any unnecessary interruption. Thank you. Item 4, citizens to be heard in accordance with section 3.12 of the Pearsall Municipal Charter. All meetings of the city council and all committees thereof shall be open to the public, and the rules of the council shall provide that citizens of the city shall have a reasonable opportunity to be heard at any such meeting in regard to any matter they're considered. Any such meeting shall comply with all applicable laws of the state of Texas. Citizens requested to be heard shall sign in before the meeting is called to order and shall be called upon in the order that they signed in. The presiding official shall use discretion in time allow a citizen to be heard. The citizen shall make every effort to be brief, get to the point, and to limit speaking time to no more than 3 minutes. Personal attacks shall not be allowed by any speaker. Rita, do we have some?
We have 4.
Okay.
First on the list is Dave Ritchie.
David Ritchie, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you for your time. Before I start my talk, I'd like to clarify something, if I could, to the council. It says there are rules that is to be followed. Are those rules available in writing somewhere? Because I did not have access to them as I was preparing.
As far as the speaking?
Yes,
Yes, as long as there's no personal attacks, it's limited to 3 minutes.
only the personal attack, addressing someone
Addressing someone,
directly.
yes, sir.
If I make a broad
Please make a
statement,
public.
we're good to go.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty. My name is Dave Ritchie. I live at 1315 East Brazos here in Pearsall. And I'd like to begin my statement by requesting that at the end of my address, each councilor that was absent at the June 3rd meeting give an account for their absence. You may choose not to, at which time the general public will continue to speculate on the reason, and many of us believe it's just another ploy to prolong the inevitable. I want to commend the council and the predecessors of the recently seated councilors on having succeeded in using their personal agenda sticks to poke the sleeping giant enough to have roused him from his slumber. The giant has appeared with his rallying call. You'll see the green t-shirts. This is a modified verse from an old Aaron Tiffin song, which I like very much. And let me share those lyrics and expand on them a little bit. You've got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. You've got to be your own man, not a puppet on a string. Never compromise what's right. Uphold your family name. The family, as I view it, are the citizens of Pearsall. Those citizens that elected you to the positions that you now hold. Although some of you were not elected to the seats you hold by the general public, but were elected by members of the council. We, the general public, still have the same expectations of you, that you will lead, not rule, this community in an effort to promote it positively. I request that in the future, you focus on the acronym HIT as you make your decisions. H-I-T. Honesty, integrity, transparency. These are just three of the qualities that the citizens of Pearsall expect from our leaders. I do have one question that may be viewed as rhetorical. When this is all over, and you vacate the seat you currently occupy, either through a personal choice, general election, term limits, or recall, will you be satisfied with the legacy that you leave behind? Let's hit it. Thank you for your time, and I relinquish the floor.
Next on the list is Letty Hernandez.
I'm here representing the Mexican part of Mary Catholic Church. We're going to have our festival this Saturday. And I'd like to request approval from the city council for street closure between 7 a.m. and 1 o'clock in the morning. We're going to be setting up, the stage equipment and booths and all that. So, I did bring in a request, when I took it over, I did it, but it was just not the right one, so.
She did submit it on the 30th of May. It was just submitted as a parade permit instead of just street closure. We put on the agenda for today's meeting. So, that's where the miscommunication.
That's right. Mayor, the problem was that the city clerk received the information on, and she stamped it, but never reported to the city manager. So therefore, there may have been some miscommunication, but I think that we could do things better by flowing paperwork as it comes from the public through this office to the city manager. Because if I would have known that it come in, I would have addressed it and put it on the agenda. And that's why we asked Ms. Martinez to come and plead her case. It's not her fault.
We could actually, I know it's done in the past, where they've done a closure and then come back to council and we'll ratify, right? Next meeting.
I think it was submitted to the PD, to the chief, that request,
I brought it here to
right here, but.
Yes, I forwarded it on to the chief because it's a parade permit, it has a map on the back, so that's where the miscommunication came in. And
I think we just ratify it, so there's where we can,
We can still do it.
Consensus of the council, and then we'll put it on.
Okay.
Yeah. Right, the parade or the festival is this weekend, the Catholic Church.
the third on the list is Joseph Simmons.
Council, how are you guys today? Try to make this brief so we get those first things as soon as possible. I was looking at the agenda and I was troubled when I noticed number 9, executive session, that the council was planning to go into executive session under subchapter D, section 551.071 for consultation with attorney regarding discussion and consideration of charter requirements for recall procedures, including legal obligations and duties of the governing body. Okay? As an attorney for a governing body, I know a lot about the Open Meetings Act, something I have to deal with all the time. Some of you may know that there are only certain reasons that you as a governing body can go behind closed doors to discuss an issue outside of review publicly. Now, the agenda is right in stating that one of those grounds is consultation with attorney. However, you have to meet these grounds. It's not enough just to want to get legal advice. It's not enough just to want to talk to an attorney and create a lawyer-client relationship or privilege. Okay, the only reason you can go into closed session is if there is pending or contemplated litigation. That means a suit's already been filed or somebody's going to file it. Okay? or to discuss a settlement offer in a pending suit. I would submit to you that none of those items occur, or none of those situations occur when we're talking about number 9, talking about a simple recall petition. This body cannot go into executive session. And I will remind you that the statute also says that any person who votes to go into executive session, seconds to go into executive session, or makes a motion is subject to a violation of the Open Meetings Act, which is a misdemeanor. And I will be calling the Nick Payne tomorrow morning to see that appropriate action be taken. I have a copy of the statute if everybody would like now. May I listen? There you go.
There's another or, Joseph, you want to read that to the council? You just read A and B.
Oh, it's under a matter in which a duty of the attorney to the government body under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the state bar, Texas clearly contains with this chapter, which again, I do not believe that applies. Thank you.
Pending or contemplated litigation, I can respond to that. Nothing's pending. Contemplated, we don't know on that. But the provision here on the consultation with the attorney implements the attorney-client privilege. And all we're gonna do is go in there and do this attorney-client privilege, explain the procedure, and I believe that some of the council members wanted a meeting next week to address the items that I want to cover. So it's an implementation of the attorney-client privilege, Rule 503.
Effectively, we can hold it in open meeting, right?
We could hold it in an open meeting,
Okay.
to the council desire.
We have, if I read correctly, Hector, on 10, open session,
Right, it's open session, same item,
same item,
whatever the council wants to do.
okay. All right. We have anything next on that?
Fourth on the list is Albert Alvarez.
Albert?
Mayor, good evening, thank you very much, Council, for having me. I'm here on, to talk really quickly on two items rather. Item G, discuss consideration and action for amending ordinance 2014-0301 to approve amounts of security bond coverage for the city manager, financial record, and other selected employees of the city official. Members, as you well know, and most of this public here, being a former mayor just recently, during my tenure as mayor, I had 5 different city managers as interim, whether interim or full-time. None of these individuals had a security fund. So, and it's my understanding that if y'all want to change that, it's okay. The problem is that if you want, some of these members that are on this council, folks, want to just hold a parade and say, hey, we're going to change the rules in the middle of the game, that's fine. So be it. You're there. Okay? But what I can tell you, Mayor and members of the council, all we want is a level playing field. That's all we want. Okay? We're here to stay. I was born and raised here. I have business here. I'm not going anywhere. Some of these individuals that are so hyped about a so-called recall, hardly any contribute to the economy of the city, contribute anything.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong.
Absolutely. Well, I'm saying for the record. I'm not holding you. I'm saying, I'm here to speak on that item. And if this council wishes to meet in executive session, or the truth is going to come out anyway. But, well, let's go short. In due time, we are going to know the character of some of these individuals that are so-called advocates of the so-called evil. And that's when the people, the majority that are not here. Because if you see This is the same crap over and over. And the people that are out there, the majority, are asking why. The last thing I want, Mayor, is a divided city. We didn't have it when I was mayor. We didn't have it when you were mayor. So, folks, all we want is a level playing field. What's good for me is good for you. That's all I want. Thank you, Mayor.
People, when you stand in control, I'm gonna ask the people to be moved down, please. Okay? Thank you. All right, we're moving on to item 5, action agenda. Matters on the agenda considered by city council with the election by one motion, resolution, ordinance. There will be 7 discussion of these items. Approval of agenda items authorizes the mayor, city manager to execute all matters necessary to implement this item. We will have none under item 5. Item 6, under minutes. Approval of minutes for April the 8th, of 2014, and April 16th, 2014. Also May 13th, 2014, and May 20th of 2014. The only thing I see there might be a problem, city manager, Mr. Attorney, is I don't think we have a form for approving minutes of people that were here for those minutes for that meeting. I don't think we have enough. I think we do have enough for the May 20th meeting, but I kind of looked that over and I didn't see that we had 5 council members from those meetings. I don't think it was Maggie, Lisa, Councilwoman Maggie, Mayor Pro Tem Roy, and Alex.
We have 4 members.
How many is 4?
Yeah, we have a quorum. You have 4 members.
I need to abstain from that because I didn't take part in that discussion. I didn't.
As Mayor Pro Tem, you're not gonna vote anyway.
Yeah, and I
But
think,
there's a quorum.
yeah, but when it passed, it was only before a vote, because I think Councilman James Real was in it too. Or Councilmember Ana Martinez.
You don't need a quorum to approve the minutes, you just need a majority vote.
Okay,
You got 4 members.
Okay, that's clear, that's what we need. Okay, do we have any questions on the April the 8th meeting, 2014? Go over that one. We can do all of them together, we so need to. We can also look at April the 16th, 2014. For the people that are here. May the 13 minutes. May 20th, I know, where we are, May 20th. Went over those, and it's pretty clear. Okay, if there's not any questions or any comments or errors or things we need to discuss.
There's a correction that needs to be made on April 16th. I mean, I have no problem leaving it as is, but April 16th on page 404, top left-hand corner.
April 16th. Where's the correction? Oh, yes, gotcha. It says to reach on there, Council, the approval for 70, only has 2 zeros, right, the amount. So that was the typograph, typo error that we can back together on,
404.
yeah, 404.
Just need to make sure the room.
On the
On
16th.
the amount, the very top.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, the amount. Okay. All right, any other questions, any other comments on the other ones? Yeah, the whole little sentence here is actually needs to be redone.
I'll make a motion to approve April 8th, April 16th, May 13th,
Okay, motion made by Councilman Martinez to approve April 8th, April 16th, May 13th, and May 20 minutes. Do I hear a second? Seconded by Councilwoman Margarita. Any further questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Motion carries unanimous. Moving on to old business, item 7, none. Going into item 8, new business. Discussion, consideration, and action to authorize Tom Ratza Consulting Services, TRCS, to prepare and release the City of Pearsall a request for proposal for electric supply, RFP, and it's an action item.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. I'm going to introduce Tom Ratza with TRCS. My understanding from the history of Mr. Ratza providing services for the city, the contract is up at the end of June, so we have to take action. And there is in your packet a PowerPoint presentation provided by Mr. Ratza, and I'll let him take the floor.
Mayor, Councilman, City Manager. I've been your consultant since 2006 for electricity. There's a pretty good review in there as to how much money we've been able to save the city since 2007 when the first contract was enacted. Prices have steadily dropped. I'm proposing to go ahead with a new contract at the next city council meeting. I've begun to get pricing for the city, and we're very, very close to where we've been. It'd be nice to see it lower, but unfortunately, it's not going that way. If there's any questions at all, you take them now or at the next city council meeting. I know everybody wants to get both of the stores taken.
Is there any fees that provide the city required for?
No, sir. Yeah, none whatsoever. We have half a dozen bidders already that are very interested. They're all large companies. They're all Texas-based, Houston headquarters. Prices have all been very, very narrow. So, I would encourage the councilman to look at a longer contract though than we did 2 years ago. Because if we had gone with a 3 or even a 4-year contract, it would have saved another $35,000 a year. Just because the price 2 years ago was slightly lower for a long term than short.
once we sign the contract, it's a fixed rate.
That's correct, yeah, fixed. If prices do drop, we can renegotiate and extend the contract out. In all likelihood, they're gonna stay pretty flat. The difference between a 5-year contract right now for natural gas, which is what our electricity is based on, and a 1-year contract is they're just so flat. And it's, as you know, it's the activity around here.
Is there any projection on pricing as far as natural gas?
Yes, I have, I did include a copy of the gas storage, or the gas report, just a few days ago. And that's really the latest, but I can get you a new one. It was down slightly today, and by slightly, it's just 2 or 3 cents. I think in the long term, though, with the exportation of natural gas and more natural gas being used for other uses like liquefied natural gas, we're going to see some increases, but it's going to take time. It's still 2 years before the LNG exports kick in.
So they expecting to work once the EPA new regulations kick in?
You know, there's so much natural gas still to be exported, and for the most part, the majors aren't looking for natural gas. They're looking for oil or gas liquids or hydrocarbon liquids. And as the demand for more natural gas increases to displace coal, we're gonna see more drilling for natural gas. But again, I think it's gonna stay pretty flat. I've been doing this for 35 years now, and I've seen natural gas go all over the place. This is the longest period in which gas has stayed just flat. If the demand goes up, they'll drill some more. If it doesn't go up, they're not gonna drill anymore. It really aren't making any money on it. Oil is the.
Well, with the new EPA regulations, we're going to be forced to lose natural gas.
That's true. In time.
By 2016?
2016, but it's up to the states actually to have to approve it. Yeah. So there's some of the states like Texas, they may hold off. And it's gonna take time to blend in natural gas plants. I did a dozen of those for Duke Energy, a company or earlier, one in Edinburgh, one up at the Dallas area, and the rest of the south. And those can take about 4 years from the start of development to production of electricity. And they're also very, very expensive. Yeah, and there's a big demand for big dollars now. And that's, again, it's all going to drill for a while.
Hey, I do want to take notice or let people know that the essay was quite a bit of money since you came on board back in.
Yeah.
Quite a bit of money. Talking the first time you came on board, it was a quick savings of about 131,000. You know, because we're going straight into just market out there, and somebody knows what they're doing in there, and we go in there. And if I read it correctly, since 2007, approximately 1.7.
Sir.
That's a lot of money. So you've been doing a good job for us.
Well, I have a lot of friends in the industry that
Yeah.
know what they're doing, and I rely on them.
It's just like the coaching profession that I did. You're only as good as your assistant coach.
Very true.
That's right. Do good for you, you'll be all right. Okay, do I hear a motion?
Well, the revision for this contract would be 4 years again? or how
No,
much?
whatever you decide, 1 to 5. I'd come back with a recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is just
Just a move.
Yeah, just approve it, go ahead. Here's the RFP, I've got that prepared, so I'd like to start getting that out tomorrow.
Any more questions, comments? Do I hear a motion? Motion by Councilman James Leal to approve the revised service provider contract. I'm sorry, I'm wrong. To approve the authorized town rights accounting service to prepare and release the city of Pearsall a request for proposal of electric supply RFP. Do I hear a second? Seconded by Councilmember Roy Trevino. Any further comments, concerns? Hey, all in favor? Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you for your vote of confidence.
Mayor, if I may, if we can, item F, out of order, we have people from San Antonio here to make a presentation.
Item F?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The YMCA, is that the?
That's fine. Okay, let's go ahead and jump from A to letter F. Discuss consideration and action to enter in a memorandum of understanding, MOU, with the YMCA of San Antonio concerning a proposed project consisting of the construction of facilities which may include a recreational center on property owned by the city at the former West Side Community Center. And this is an action item. Okay, who do we have?
Thank you, Mayor. We have Mr. Joe Wendt with the YMCA. We also have the architect here with the YMCA. Greg Houston. And Posey Duncan also. Thank you, Council.
Floor is yours, sir.
Mayor, City Council, thank you for the opportunity to come talk to you about the possibility of YMCA in your community. Before you, as an action item, we're looking for a memorandum of understanding. And you know, I guess you all have done these before, MOUs. So it's just an opportunity to look at an area as has been identified as the school, the West Side School, is that, okay, the West Side School, and to take that property and potentially and hopefully put a YMCA in place. Now, a couple of things are already in process. There's already a committee that's been selected or been formed. There's about 12 members, I think, on the committee who are out, who will be part of the process to help us identify potential donors for this YMCA. So there are two sources of funds that we're looking for the support of the Y. One would be the capital, and then the other one would be to create an endowment, which will help many of the community come and be a participant of the YMCA. So what is that going to cost? That would be the next question, of course, that you would ask. We don't know at this time. It kind of depends, really, on the size of the facility that we're looking at. We're starting out, and Greg has some diagrams here, we're starting out with the potential of a 40,000 square foot facility, and which certainly can be downside, depending, again, on what the funding creation is. So here is the existing pavilion, to give you a resource. And so in this, we have the wellness area, the weight area. We have a space for teams to be able to participate and have their own programs. We have an indoor gymnasium. Group X, which just means like Pilates, group cycling, Zumba, all that kind of stuff. And then an indoor pool, which if we decide not to do an indoor pool, we can do an outdoor pool. The space that's being proposed has plenty of room for whatever we want to do. And again, the 40,000 can be a phase. We can do a 12 or 15,000. Again, bottom line is what's it going to cost, and once we can pull all those resources together, we can make a decision on what that is going to be. It can be as big, again, as a 40, which is probably about as big as I would put on the facility, so we decided to just plant that in here. But it can be as small as a 20, with additional phase-in, as we go through the process. So we are hoping that you will approve the MOU today. And what does the MOU do for us? What it does is, as we go out and we fundraise, and this is what we're going to do, we can show the potential donors that the city is our partner and we're partners with the city. So now we're able to show them these drawings. We're able to say we have a definite site. This is the location. And we're having to say that the city is partners with us. So that's important for a donor, which we hope will be name-gift opportunities along the way. Any questions?
Just roughly, what, from an indoor pool to outdoor pool, what's the price difference? And
Yeah,
is the maintenance, is it more feasible to go with the indoor as far as maintenance wise, or?
Your maintenance is going to be more expensive on the indoor pool. No question about that. And I think Greg and I were talking about that. I think the price difference can be $2.5 to $3 million. That's the price difference between an indoor pool and an outdoor pool. Obviously, the upside to an indoor pool is year-round, But then we're in South Texas, right? So, you have really maybe 4 or 5 months out of the year that you're not using the pool because it may be too cold to use the pool. So I think that's an advantage we have in South Texas, is that we can use our outdoor pools for an extended period of time. But yeah, you're talking between $2 to $2.5, $3 million difference. And then to give you an idea, Greg, I guess about a 25-yard pool, operationally about $500,000. Yes. Right. That's on an indoor pool. Outdoor pool, probably half that. So in terms of operation, so it's expensive. It's an expensive process for an indoor pool. Nice to have, but you're going to pay for it.
So financially, how much would the city put in versus what that would be?
You know what? We haven't gotten that far. I think we have not made that decision at this time. I think what's going to happen is, just kind of give you an example of what we're doing in San Antonio. We've done many of these in San Antonio with MOUs. I have an MOU right now with the city. The city passed a $2.5 million bond for a YMCA on the south side of town. We've made a commitment to match that and maybe even higher. So on top of that, we're going to match the capital, but then we're going to go out and look for an endowment to set up to help folks participate, because at the Y, we don't turn anybody away, regardless of what they can pay. So the point is that operations are operations and cost are cost, right? So it's going to cost what it's going to cost. So we've got to have enough money to be able to support that and still have enough to allow people to come in. So we really haven't talked about that yet. What's it going to cost? But this is the first step to have the MOU so that we can move forward and go out and talk to our donors.
This would be a great opportunity for the big rope there, Eagle Ford to.
That's our thought as well. You know, I think the committee has a list of people who they're going to be talking to. Yes. Yep, a list of people they're going to be talking to. We think that there are certainly some wealthy landowners in the area that we're going to be talking to. I think our committee is very strong. So again, this is what we're waiting for. This is the first step towards getting a YMCA in the city of Pearsall. Yes, sir.
Looking in the future,
Ron, just a question. Yep.
I know it's in a better city, YMCA, donations and all that. Have y'all experienced anywhere where the building was created and then in the long run, it just didn't happen or it just fizzled out? And I'm just looking at the building itself. Who stays with the building, who stays with the ground? Is that a legal matter to try to go into?
No, you know, the property is owned by the city, okay? So let me give you the same scenario we have in San Antonio. We're on city parks. So the city leases that land to us for $1 a year, right? There you go. So we get that's part of the MOU, part of the agreement. MOU, we get $1. The city is, the facility is yours. Now, I mean, the facility is really owned by everybody, right? The money that we're going to raise is local money. It's not coming from San Antonio. It's local money. So hard to answer that because I haven't experienced that. 35 years in the Y, never have we left a facility. If we've left one, it's only to make it bigger somewhere else. And that's happened twice in the city. So we've never just said, the Y doesn't work here, we're going to leave. That has just not happened. And you know, we are a business, just like any business, and we have to make money, right? Generate income to help support the facility. We have many of our facilities in San Antonio that lose money. We have one on the west side of town that loses $200,000 a year. But we also raise enough money to help offset that. So just because we don't, the best thing I can tell you is we don't build a Y just because we know we can make it financially. We build a Y to serve the community, all the community. So it doesn't matter. Yeah.
So my another question would be, how many communities our size have y'all?
I don't know what the community in Bernie is, but we are in Bernie, city of Schertz, New Braunfels. We're in 3 communities right now. Yeah, I think Schertz might be a little bit bigger. It's in northeast San Antonio, more northeast. Yeah.
And don't take me wrong, I'm all for wide, I'm all for recreation.
We,
You know me, people know me, I'm all for that. I'm just looking at the long range.
Oh, no, I'm with you. We're looking at a YMCA in Bulverde, which is about the same population, maybe not even 9. You're 9,000 there, right? Yeah, a little, okay. So I think it's even a smaller community there. And so we're looking at Bulverde. So yes, we're in small communities, we're in large communities as well.
We got the local ISD, maybe the county involved, see if they want to participate.
I think the county will, hopefully, they're on our list. Hopefully, we're going to get these guys involved. So, you know, in San Antonio, we're working very closely with the county, with the city of San Antonio. City Parks and Rec.
Hi, I'll just jump in. Robert Lundeman has been a great supporter of the YMCA. He is giving us space in order to hold our camps. We're very new to the area, and so a lot of the residents here are finding out about our financial assistance and how that works. And we've got great kids that are really enjoying a lot of fun. But the ISD cannot assist in funds until fall. And once we are in after-school care, then there's funds that they can assist us with. But during the summer, they don't have that capability. There is some discussion and, that they're hoping that we start managing our outdoor pool. And so maybe that can extend those hours of that outdoor pool to the community. We chose not to do that now due to the fact I was hired in April. I was trying to get a good camp and a good staff here from Pearsall up and running. And that we felt like that would, you know, create some loose ends. And so we really wanted to put a really good program here for the children and families of Pearsall and then build upon that. And so we'll be in after school in the elementary level, and I want to extend that to the intermediate because we consider elementary, kindergarten through fifth. You guys have pre-K through second, and then your intermediate school goes with the fifth. And so we'll start that in September, August, when school starts.
Hector, have you reviewed the MOU?
We don't have we just had a draft, but it was something out of San Antonio.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, we adopted it in San Antonio.
But we don't have the basic part of the language yet.
So what direction are you looking from council?
Well, I thought we were here to approve the MOU, to have council approve them, or at least approve to move forward with the MOU. Is that right?
Right. Mayor, Councilman, the reason that it's on the agenda is to start the process of dedicating a site. So then we can start looking at funding. Funding is always important, and I've charged my finance director and him and I so we can get together to come up with alternative financing. For example, a P3. Anybody know what a P3 is? It's not a base station. It's an act by the legislature that allows alternative financing between the private and public sector. So the land is ours, the building's gonna be ours. They'll build it at no cost to the city, but they hold the note. That's one alternative method. Other methods are actually putting money from the general fund into a special account for construction and operations. And then we can talk about other obligations, certificates, whatever. But the first step is to go ahead and dedicate a site so we can know where it's going to be. Another thing that's very important is that this committee, I believe Mr. Gates is the chairman of this committee, he's in support of construction of the Y at that location. So those are our financial plans. But today is just for moving forward with for an MOU to dedicate that site.
Mayor Pro Tem, with all due respect, I'll go ahead and make a motion to move forward with the MOU.
Okay, motion made by Councilman James Leal to move forward with the memorandum of understanding with the YMCA of San Antonio concerning a proposed project consisting of the construction of facilities which may include a recreational center on property owned by the city at the Puma West Side Community Center, and seconded by Councilman Ando Martinez. Any other comments, concerns, questions? Not, all in favor? Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, moving back to item B, under new business. Discussing consideration and action to approve the revised service provider contract with the Frio County Emergency Service District number 1. It is an action item.
Mayor, City Councilman, members, I'm pleased to announce that 2 weeks ago, the ESD met at Village. And I spoke with council, I attended that meeting, and I spoke with their council, and we decided to meet, all the fire marshals meet, fire chiefs meet, outside to come up with an agreement on the coverage area. Because that was, Mr. Pasquale, that is here, that was probably the biggest issue is the coverage area. What coverage area was Pearsall going to be responsible for? And I think that upon discussion with the other fire chiefs, we came into agreement. You have the exhibit. The one that's in the packet is not the exhibit we're going to go with. We're going to go with this colored exhibit. It's a 3 mile, it's anything inside the city limits within the 3 mile radius. Okay, that's what this map represents. That's what we're going to tentatively agree to and present it to the ESD at their next meeting for adoption. Now, the language in the contract as far as funding is still in place. There's $100,000 a year that they're budgeted for Pearsall. Okay, the key in the contract is that we submit our expense report to them at their meeting. So we're going to do that. In addition, what I've also negotiated with the ESD is not only to go back to October 2013 to the present, with the expenses that we have. Keep in mind, we don't have a contract. I did ask him, and they tentatively agreed that they will look at the invoices going from October 13th, which is the funding cycle, until the present. Additionally to that, I asked them that I wanted them to consider the expenses that was incurred by the city when the city had no contract and did not receive any money from October 1st of 2012 until September 2013. The good thing about the response was that they didn't say no. They said, bring me the invoices. If we have money, we'll help you with some of those expenses. So we're moving forward. We're moving in the right direction. I thank the council for your support in negotiating with ESD, and that's my report.
Mr. Aguilar, do you have anything to add to that?
I've got a couple of comments. I want to thank him for helping us out. I know there's new faces since the last time I was here. I just want to make sure that y'all agree with this contract. Y'all read it, and once we sign it, we can't go back on it. Me, myself, I don't support the contract. You're going to ask me why, and I'm going to tell you why. And I'm sure we're still going to sign it. But you want to compare Pearsall, the city of Pearsall and the fire department with the community of Moore or the community of Bigfoot, and you're going to give them the same amount of money that you're going to put into our department. They're going to give $100,000 to Moore. They're going to give $100,000 to Bigfoot. And it's not, you just can't, I can't see it. But that's the way the ESD chose to do it. And, we're losing money, but we're not making these calls out there, and the city is supporting us at this time. That's my main concern, It's not a level playing field there. We should be getting a whole lot more money. And I'm hoping that city manager, once, the new contract comes in, for next year, we start looking at that, if y'all agreed to. And the reason I asked that if y'all agreed to is because we did meet with the chiefs up there, and I asked them if we could just do the city limits and a little bit more, and they jumped on it right away, because, they know they're making the money, whether, they make calls in the whole county or just part of the county. So with that said, we really should have been asking the ESD a long time ago, how come they haven't been providing services for our community since they've been collecting the money, but, we never did.
So if I understand correctly, everybody gets that $25,000 worth, and everybody gets the same $100,000?
No, that was prior negotiation, Mayor Pro Tem. What they wanted to give us up front was, and we've been through this 5 or 6 times at the table. It was a monthly amount of $17.50. They would give you so much. The city was getting $116,000, and we were covering 53% of the county. We negotiated $100,000 for 25%, subject to the coverage area. This area that we're approving tonight is less than 25%, and we're still getting $100,000.
Is that coverage area as far as land or coverage area as far as population?
No, it's land, it's 3 mile radius.
Wait, I'm gonna say yes.
Can I comment on this?
Yeah.
Yes, we were getting $116,000. That was when ESD was collecting $200,000. We were getting over 50% of the funds. They're collecting over $420,000 this year. We're only getting $100,000. So that's where we're at. I'm looking at the big picture.
And everything we asked for, the city asked for, they conceded. That's why the terms of the contract were already there. My recommendation has been to approve the contract, subject to the coverage area. So that's where we're at now. The last meeting I didn't attend, there was nothing else to negotiate on my part, so coverage area.
So, before this contract comes out, y'all still haven't been responding, right, to those areas?
Yeah, we've been making calls basically in that square right there. Because there's a lot of people that live in just outside the limits, and
Yes.
we can't.
I know that that's lots of money, or maybe the law or whatever, we do need to provide that for our citizens out there. And maybe it's something that we need to really, I know once motion to approve this contract is for how long? What'd you say on there? For the year? For the year?
Mayor, what's important, and we need to move forward because the city currently is budgeting from our general fund $82,000 a year for their expenses. If we get the additional 100, then we can, the fire department can get more well situated with equipment and you know, anywhere from buying new trucks and all that.
Have we inquired on the taxes that they are collecting?
Well, you know, that's a very good question, because with the exception of the ESD, no one, well, I inquired, and I could not get it yet by the lawyers, of how much money they're collecting.
And where is it going? If they're not giving it to the,
Well, the other fire chiefs are submitting expenses, so it's obvious at the meeting that if you submit an expense report, they're gonna pay you. And I didn't see, the problem with ESD, it's a governing body, okay? And there's supposed to be 5 members, currently there are only 3. If we can change the makeup of that governing body, well, things will change. But currently, you know, we've got to go with what they're providing for us. And we don't want to miss out on any more money that, you know, just because we can't agree to a coverage area. There's a mutual aid agreement that if Bigfoot, if Pearsall needs help, Bigfoot more, everybody comes in and help out. If Bigfoot needs help, Pearsall goes out. So I think that we should move forward.
I will allow just one comment from Joseph. And then
I just wanted to clarify, the county commissioners court appointed 1 member in April and another member this last Monday, or actually yesterday. So we are back up to 5.
Great. Thanks, sir.
I wasn't able to read the contract thoroughly. I just got the book it kind of Monday, which we really got Friday. Now, as far as equipment, the equipment that we currently own, if we sign this contract,
There's an exception.
does it still belong to the city?
Yes.
How about any equipment purchased after the contract has been signed?
That we purchase with our money and with the government budget money, it's ours.
It belongs to us. It's purchased with
And
ESP.
the only way it goes back to them is we dissolve. We have no intention of dissolving. But at this point, it appears the city has no intention of entering into the contract. So we can't get any money from them.
So, at no point can they come and say, you know what, Dilly needs your truck, so we're taking it all there.
That's the contract.
Unless they buy.
No, I wouldn't recommend you to approve that.
What is the penalties if they're not able to respond to something within that? I mean, during that work.
It's mutual aid. If Herzog can't respond, the other entity will take it up.
There's no penalty involved with taking out.
No, they're not doing that. What happens is that $100,000 in the pot, last year we didn't have a contract. They're willing for us to make a claim to that, and there's money they'll give us, so we have to make a claim on that. Now, this year, they're willing to go back to October 1st, budget year, and we make a claim for $100,000. I think so far we have spent over $100,000.
With that ESP money, can we hire an employee full-time?
As long as it's an allowable expense.
Yeah, but he's got to be certified.
That's what I'm saying.
He's certified. Got to be certified, that's the only requirement. Got to be certified.
So that money can be taken.
And it's in there, and it's as long as he's certified.
I think
Hire somebody and send them and get them certified.
I'm personally willing to go along with the contract as long as they give us what's owed to us. With that clause in there saying that it's owed to us from the previous, before the contract. And when they stop giving us money, funds,
We're signing this contract, it's going back to October 1st, this budget year. If we want to make a claim, we'll have an agenda item, make a claim for the previous year. And that's what you're going to do. Make a claim, you have to make a claim with that.
And here specifically, it will say that you use that money for an employee, right?
right, it's in this part.
So, Mr. Love, besides the disbursement of the amounts of monies, everything else seems pretty good?
Yeah, that, and, they want to micromanage, really. We don't need anybody to, if they want to do that, the city needs to lease the equipment and let them come in.
I think that comes
Do all the work.
comes into play, and you guys are seeing a lot of, seeing a lot of micromanaging. We just step in there and make sure it doesn't happen. But council, I think we need to move forward soon, because that's coverage that we need to provide for our people, and we're getting something. You know, we're getting $100,000, they're getting $100,000. Plus the 85 we got.
Quick question, if we need additional funds, can we request for over, just for say we max our budget?
If they, what their attorney said, if there was funds available, and they're collecting more taxes, then, yeah, you make the claim. All we need is to present the budget.
Hey, do I have a motion? Motion made by Martinez, Councilman Martinez, to approve and revise service provider contract with the Prio County Emergency Service District Number 1. Do I hear a second? Seconded by Councilwoman Maggie Arista. Any other concerns? Any other questions? All in favor? Motion carries. Unanimous. All right, moving on. Next item on the agenda, letter C, discussion, consideration, and action to approve the revised contract for jail services with the Prio County Sheriff Department. Action item.
Mayor, on this, if you look at your packet in the contract, item number 9, that was a revision. It now reads that it's automatically reviewed from year to year. Okay, that's the only revision in this contract. Now, we did go over it, council and I went over it, however, in all fairness to the chief, he did express some concerns when he saw the agenda item. So I'd like to give the floor to the chief.
Thank you. My concern, and it's been a concern ever since I've been here, is that all we have is Frio County Jail to put our prisoners in. We are the biggest contributor to the Frio County Jail, Pearsall Police Department is. We pay them an average of anywhere from $2 to $3 to maybe sometimes $3,500 a month. For every prisoner we put in there, it's $50 a day. So they're making some good money off of us, and it's the only place we have, so we're bound to that location. There's an issue where, and coming from a larger county, I'm familiar with jail operations, whereas once we take a prisoner to jail and he gets magistrated, he becomes a ward of the state. Once a bond is set, then he can be bailed out. Up until that time, he's our prisoner. The contract says that he's our prisoner for 24 hours. If anything happens to him, if he's sick or whatever, the city is responsible for those medical expenses. And although we have not experienced many, all it takes is one. I think there was a situation in Dilley where they were charging him $100,000 for an inmate. Medical records because he was sick at the time he got arrested. Normally around here, if they're sick when they get arrested, they try to encourage them to make bond or let them out on the surety bond, which is good. My concern is that I just don't want to put the city in a position where we're going to be liable for medical expenses that could knock us out of the ballpark.
That there's on section 4?
Sir?
Section 4 with 24 hours?
Yes, sir.
So when you put the prisoner in for 24 hours from that point, he belongs to us.
Yes, sir.
If he gets sick during that point, it's our responsibility.
Even though he's been magistrated. And it conflicts with another area in there, Joe, and I think Joe said it is one of those contracts, but it says that if he's picked up on a county warrant or state warrant, if we pick them up on active warrants, they're still our inmates, but they're state and county warrants, so there's a little conflict there. And it's just something that I was asking, maybe sit down and talk about it and review it before we made a decision today.
And we can do that, but the contract itself, the problem with this, we approved it December 22nd, 2011, it was for 1 year. It didn't have the automatic renewal. So the county put it on the agenda this week, something like that.
Maybe 2 meetings ago or 1 meeting ago?
The county put it on the agenda and they approved the revised contract, adding an additional automatic renewal after 1 year. The $50 rate is not changing. There's a section in the contract, Section 9 was a 1 year, so they did the automatic renewal. Section 13, any revision to the contract by December 1st. So maybe you can visit that. The deal is, we're paying $50 without a contract. Again, same problem.
Yeah, well, I don't have no
We're
problem.
paying them, we're
It'll
helping
renew itself automatically anyway, even if we put in this provision, right? Unless somebody
Right.
has an objection, so we've been operating on it this far. So,
And just a sidebar comment, Mayor. Currently, we're within budget of housing our prisoners in Frio County. If we don't get into a contract with Frio County, we have to house them somewhere else, and it's gonna cost us more. We did pull the records, the financial director pulled the records for me. We're under budget, we're budgeted at a good amount. If the chief, I can understand the chief's position, we've been lucky. We haven't had a prisoner that will charge, that got sick or had to be taken to the hospital and then be charged $100,000 by those medical expenses that are so high. But if they're indigent, we can always negotiate with Medicaid, Medicare to lower that premium. And it was my understanding that City of Dilley did that from 100 to 30,000. So we've got some other avenues that we can take care of those prisoners.
But I think if it's, take all means, if we're able to try to fix the problem now, by doing it, once they're magistrated, hand it over, and whether or not our liability, then it would be a better
Is that legal?
process.
Is that even something that you know?
That's a term of the contract that we can negotiate.
I think we need to go, and this,
Do we have any other options? What about LaSalle County? I mean,
we have the option, yes, sir, we can do a contract with any surrounding agency. I was trying to work a deal with Catula, but they haven't opened the jail yet. It would still be a burden on us.
but even if we cut down the time to a couple hours, a lot less than 24 hours.
Right, well,
I
that's
mean,
the issue.
because just one incident can,
It could, and the other thing is if they're in the jail and they get sick within those 24 hours, I gotta pull one of my policemen off the street to go sit with them at the hospital for
But if
hours.
something happens to them while they're in jail, we're still liable for it.
Yes, sir.
I think we can allow them to the issue. And then, also with this, 1 year renewal, I kind of skeptical about it because, I mean, if we don't bring it up within 30 days, if we don't keep up with it, then automatically it just renews.
But when you're going over to something, when you're in jail,
No?
when you jail, I was trying to get to work for 9 o'clock, and I magistrated 24 hours.
Like the island.
You could be sick, and, I mean, you could be sick and.
Yeah.
keep going.
And sometimes people that are sick intentionally bump into a policeman to get arrested so they can go get treatment at our expense. That's happened a lot.
It's just something that I think we need to revisit and make sure we do it to our, once they're magistrated.
Definitely something we gotta look at, or explore other options, you know, maybe.
But,
I'll go either way with it, but it was a concern I had to be sick.
okay, my question would be, we don't approve this contract tonight.
We've been out of the contract since December.
We've been out of it since December, and you're still able to,
Yeah, we still have the same agreement with the sheriff.
so can we put something together to try to,
All we need is that clause of renewal, and then we can visit in December, whenever the council, commission court ready.
We can't revisit it now?
No, that's not what we're waiting.
Just a quick question, are you working for us right now?
Just to clarify that, Councilman, the county has an attorney, the county commissioner has an attorney. Hector is a county attorney. So Hector is working for the city.
so give us your full recommendation of what we can do about that little cost. Give us your full recommendation of what we
My
can do about that
recommendation
little
is
cost.
to approve that clause, so it'd be renewal, and then we can revisit that item that the chief has. It's a legitimate concern. We need to get that
We can
item.
revisit that item by December 7th.
Right, we can do it before, as long as the county is willing to negotiate on this stuff. There is a contract, the negotiation with James Smith originally, and then Joseph picked it up as the legal counsel of the commissioner.
Speak for us. When's the next commissioner's court meeting?
30.
30th. I say we just hold off on it, have them read on
Hold off.
commissioner's court until the 30th and tell them that's the clause we want in there.
or something we can negotiate. They may say, you know what, we don't want to take your prisoners, and you gotta go somewhere else. Now we're in a pickle.
That's my next question.
Yeah, so,
That's my next question. It might be a little bit more expensive. We should-
As a city council, and not giving you legal advice, but a professional advice, we need to send the county a message that we're willing to work with them. They're willing to work with us, and they don't have to, okay? But we can make the necessary arrangements to comply with the chief and the city council.
that can be done later, so yeah, I don't have a problem.
Well, Joseph gave us a thumbs up, and didn't work out.
All right,
Like I said,
Joe.
I can't speak for the commissioner's court, I can only speak for myself.
Okay.
I personally, you could run into a situation to where, even if we had to transfer to the south, because the county said no, not accept our terms, it might be more feasible, because if we did have an incident where an inmate or a prisoner or someone they arrested goes in there with an illness and racks up the bill.
But there are other options, right, that
In all fairness, I think that the city,
More than $50. My thing, I think we should go forward with it, get it, try to revisit with someone else, maybe come back. I think we can, they're willing to work with us, I think.
Well, if we're going to do anything on milk now in December, that would be an option too.
We can wait till December.
That's why, it's the cost of the system.
it is an action item.
Yeah, it is an action item, so, I said, I feel, I feel this is a close place, we can put it for $50, instead of charging the other way, but, my own.
Can we approve and make sure that we try and negotiate this out?
We'll get the chief.
December, it's not brought up 30 days prior to December, it automatically renews.
That's what we're bringing up, just sit back and put it together, we can get out there and see what we can do. All right, let's go move forward. A motion, what Trevino makes a motion to engage in, to approve the revised contract with jail services, approved county sheriff's department. It has been seconded by Councilwoman Magda Arisa. Any other concerns, questions, comments? All in favor? Motion carries. All against? One against. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, and one against, Councilman Jenkins. All right, moving forward. Let's go to item D. Discussion and consideration and action to engage and enter into an agreement with LVN Incorporation for the approval of the transportation master plan for the city of Pearsall. Action item.
Mayor, Councilman, this item is being brought before the council in an effort to inform the council about the need for a master transportation plan for the city. As you all know, we're experiencing rapid growth. There's a lot of 18-wheelers everywhere. The only state highway they're using right now from east to west is 140 or Vermont. Okay, they're driving in every day. We met with TxDOT. When I say we, the city manager, LNV, and members from TxDOT, to try to figure out a plan to include funding, council, because that's always very important. We can't do anything without money. And when TxDOT agreed that if we enter into a master plan for the city to try to reroute the traffic, try to engage a road on 35 all the way to the north 35 power plant, and maybe do a loop, so we can loop these vehicles, these 18-wheelers around the city instead of going through the city, causing a lot of havoc, being a danger to the public, and tearing up our roads. My recommendation upon meeting with the officials from TxDOT and LMB is to engage with them and move forward with a master transportation plan for the city of Pearsall. And the floor is for, I'm going to give the floor to Byron.
Yeah,
We met with TxDOT last month and basically looked at the possibility of adding a frontage road along the east side of 35 from FM 140 up to the business 35 just north of Steck. And in order to do that, they requested that the city do a formal master plan. And I think Mr. Alvarez pretty much summed it up. The reason and the need is also to look at other avenues and other routes throughout the city to help traffic flow within the city. So that's what we would be doing and looking at, and basically looking at the future growth of the city and what are the transportation needs.
Not that I'm against it, but what benefit would it be as far as the traffic diversion if the other side is already there? The other access road?
It's basically a lot, well, the city had looked at maybe extending the Villa, Vaughn, and Horizon Drive up to the front road. That way, right now, they have to go south to FM 140 and then up north of 35 or go out north on Business 35. So it would help alleviate some of that traffic. Also, basically, for future growth along the 35 corridor, you know, having access and also developing along that stretch of road.
So the main objective would be to detour the traffic?
Well, alleviate some of the heavy traffic congestion that we have down Pomona. You would look at about maybe possibly about 40 to 50% of the people that live on this side, on the north side of Pomona, could have a different route instead of having to come downtown. All the businesses that are getting built now, HEB, all the hotels are getting built. We can alleviate some of the traffic onto the Business 35 through those three extensions that we're talking about from into the
Instead of people coming into town, they would.
instead of going into town to get out, you know, if they're going to Divine or anywhere else, you know, they don't have to come into town to drive into here. They can go out straight to the exit.
Like Vaughn, and they go on Sutton.
Horizon.
Horizon and then Davie.
Yes.
Vaughn and, there's a lot of,
Davie. And so what the existing right now on our access road would go all the way to the power plant. So, I mean.
how much of that is city? The
Well,
city only goes what to?
it goes out to
All that would be TxDOT right away.
and so TxDOT would probably take care of all that, but we need a master plan to be able to qualify, even to just look at it.
TxDOT is the agency that handles the transportation for the state of Texas. They're giving us advice. We're taking their advice. They're telling us, if you do this, this will help you with your traffic. They're the experts at that. We have the engineers to help us locate what the visibility is, that is going to be less expensive for the citizens, for our taxpayers. Currently, we found out that on the south end, 1581, all that, Gilliam Road, Irma Road, all that, there's a railroad there. It's too expensive to deal with the railroad. However, north here, on that road north, Sutton, we have enough land to build right-of-ways, to take right-of-ways, to expand that, and move only the heavy traffic around that, so the retail traffic, as I call it, can come into town and be comfortable and be safe. So they can come into town and not worry about 18-wheelers. I don't know if anybody's been to Batula lately, but you get off that access road and all those 18-wheelers are right there, and it takes you 30 minutes just to get across from one stop sign to the other.
So that access road on the opposite side there is not.
Well, it's gonna help.
It will help to turn the traffic back into town if they don't want to come in with all the traffic.
I mean, that's just one piece of the puzzle. I mean, we're only looking at the city in a whole and looking and trying to identify different routes and, you know, land that might be available. We need to identify right-of-way needs, you know, zoning we need to take a look at. I mean, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle that will be.
It would be a full access road from 101 to 104, two-way road?
We're looking at the alternates to see if we're going to do two-way or what the benefits are.
Basically, you know, they may do it in phases, and if
it's done in phases, it would be two-way, but once it's constructed from FM 140 up to Business 35, most likely it'll be one-way, and the westbound will be one-way.
Once we turn into the master plan, text that, who would fund it? Where would the funding, where would it come from?
For TechStop,
No, for the actual, the road.
oh, the frontage road, that's something that still would have to be looked at, but this would be the first step in doing that, but they would be funding, I would think, the majority of it, but that's something that hasn't been ironed out.
My plan for the city is to go to the legislature this session and get some monies from them because of the Eagle Ford activity. They set aside a rainy day fund, from the rainy day fund, for some of these communities that have been affected by the Eagle Ford. My anticipation on that is to be more active in Austin, try to get those funds so we can use state funds rather than general funds or taxpayer dollars. It is a long-term plan. It's not something we can do overnight because of environmental studies, because of right-of-ways and all that. But it's a direction that I'd like to take the city into so we can plan for the future.
We discussed with the landowners along that area.
Well, not yet, because we haven't planned.
We have a plan that's more.
Once we get a plan, then we can start to
I'm
negotiate.
sure they would, because this will make that,
But there is
sort of trust.
some homes pretty close to 35, isn't it?
Not along the right of way that we're gonna look at the environment.
What's the cost of this grant?
15,500. And by the way, I just talked to my financial director. There is money in the master plan line item budget that hasn't been touched. There's enough money in there to pay for this plan and leave some money extra.
Was there any council, men or women, did anybody attend that TechStop meeting?
It was not a public hearing or a council. It was just a city manager's decision to start negotiating with them. And once we get the master plan in place, then yes, we intend to get everybody engaged.
15,000, that's the best LD you can do?
I tried that.
I think we could possibly renegotiate 15,000, possibly get text dot in here.
Our final number is 15. Which is a really good number.
What's the ETA on that?
It depends, basically, we'll have to have a lot of input from the city staff, also from the county and TechStop. And then once we develop a plan, we'll have to present to council for approval or consideration, based on our plan. If there's any revisions or anything that we need to take a look at, we'll make the revisions and then resubmit, and it'll have to be adopted by the council. But I would say, 2 to 3 months.
Considering that this also benefits the county, have we tried maybe reaching out to them and seeing if they're willing to assist us in this fee?
Well, we have a county engineer, right?
We first, yeah, and I believe, yeah, we did invite the county engineer to the meeting. He was here. He did give us a lot of information. We're going to try to partner with everybody because not all the land we're looking at is inside the city. Some of it is in the county.
Yeah, majority of the county,
Yeah,
about 75%.
Sutton Drive, they just repaved those streets. So-
Have we approached the county to see if they were willing to?
Not yet until we put the master plan in place.
No, if they're willing to help us with it.
Oh, yes.
I'm talking about money-wise.
Money-wise?
Yeah, money-wise. Half and half, or depending on the percentage.
That's a
That's
negotiating.
something that we could, if we want to start working with the county, we also need to start working as far as, the funding-wise.
Sure. We're not going to do it for the county unless they pay it.
Brings me back to that thought again. Precincts are inside the city limits also. They should be able to work with us.
Yeah. Can we go ahead and
Can we table and go to them?
bring it back and see if they're willing to assist us with funding?
For paying for the master plan?
Yeah.
The 15.5, you want the county to pay for some of that?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, that's for your consideration.
That does cover
This is
some of
something that would benefit both, there's no sense of, we're trying to work together on other projects, so I don't see why this can't be something done by both.
Well, like I said, currently, there's a line item budget that has enough money to pay for this. that issue because we do need to try to save money anywhere we can. Whether it's, funding for TxDOT, funding for the Y, I'm glad that the council is active in that issue, trying to save money for the city.
I believe we have the likelihood, let's say we turn in this national plan to TxDOT. What do they say the likelihood that we will get funding for this by the state?
In my experience in negotiating with officials with the state, I cannot guarantee you 100%, but I can guarantee you that they're willing to give us some money.
They're very adamant that we move forward with the master plan. That's all I can say.
I'll go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem, and move forward with the motion to table this item next month to, try to, get the county to reach out to them. At least get information.
Just to see what they're gonna say.
I'll put it on their agenda.
Also, can
You know what I
we
mean?
meet with TxDOT, invite some of the council members to meet with them, so they can collectively tell us what their opinions are, and I'll second that.
Okay, motion's, table motion to make the table this item D, engaging and entering an agreement with LNG Corporation for approval of the transportation master plan for the city of Pearsall. Whether, research is done or something like that.
Negotiation with the council.
Negotiations, till next meeting. And there is a second by Councilman Pablo Martinez. All in favor? We have four, all against? One against. 5-4, one against. Right. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item E. Another master plan. Item E, discussing consideration and action to adopt the Pearsall Park Recreation and Open Space Master Plan submitted by Carlos Corina Vargas, AICP and Associates. Action item.
Mayor, council, my understanding is that back in 2012, the city council approved in a special meeting to move forward with a master plan using the consultant, Mr. Carlos Molina Vargas. He's here to present that. I'll give him the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Alvarez. Mayor, City Council, thank you very much for the opportunity here tonight to present this report. Mayor, I have a brief report I would like to distribute.
Thank you, sir. Brief us on us a little bit.
Thank you, Mayor. Before I go into the discussion of the master plan, I would like to recognize the Citizens Committee that have been working on this project. The second page of your report, they have the list of members that were selected and that have been participated in this project. It has been very appropriate that your county judge is a member of the committee because he participated in preparation of the park master plan for Frio County and the update to the plan that was prepared about 5 years after the original plan. That plan was used to justify and to get funding for the Little Park in Bigfoot and for the Camino Real Park. The other person I would like to recognize is former Mayor Cavazos that participated in the meetings at a great effort because it wasn't easy for him to come all the way from Zapata to attend this meeting. But I think, again, it's very appropriate that he was a member of the committee. We requested that he be a member.
because he was in Dili with the school. When we prepared the plan for Dili, 2002, that was also updated, and that was used to justify the Dili school park adjacent to the high school. So this plan has been already tested in this area. I'm going to be very brief, so please feel free to run me or make any questions or any comments that you decide. You have heard the story before, but I would like to repeat that the objective of preparing the environmental plan is for the administration to have a guide for the improvement and development of park and recreation. That is the main objective. Now, in most cities, the environmental plan becomes a park policy. It's adopted and interpreted as a park policy. In most cases, is included in the capital improvement program, capital improvement budget. So you budget how you're going to finance park improvement in the short range and long range. However, the second objective for the environmental plan is to be competitive in applying for funds from the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. This is very similar to the situation you heard from the engineers on the transportation plan. Texas Parks and Wildlife requires that you have park master plan to be competitive. What I mean is that you get 15 points, very structured in the competition, 100 points. So the case is that if you don't have a environmental plan, go in and apply because you're not going to make it. So the cities commissioned this park master plan to apply for funding. We have gone through the exercise of the process. They give us an online listed here in the report. We have discussed it before that we have all kind of basic information about the community. I heard some comments about the population, socioeconomic conditions. All of that will be reviewed in the historical and current conditions. One item that we have found that is interesting is that in the last census, it shows that you have 35% of the population under 18 years. That's extremely high compared to our city. Usually 25, 27%, 35% is real high. For this population is not it moves, it's dynamic. In 5 years, they're going to be older, and in 10 years, they're going to be older. However, a projection will show that we need more parks and facilities. I want to also recognize Chairman Mayor Alvarez that supported the decision of this study, and the staff, Mr. Ramiro Otero, and Denise Hernandez have been helping us in the logistics and implementation of the process. Because you have in the process. We're going through all these different topics to 3 workshops. And one of them was open as a community, as a public meeting. In addition to that, we had a questionnaire sent to the members of the committee for them to check the priorities. And it was almost unanimous opinion that what you need is to improve the current park. Instead of going and acquiring land and developing new parks, that you needed some improvements. Updating the equipment, expansion of your sport complex, improvement of the existing network park. So the plan is going to be taken in that recommendation.
Mr. Plan was to upgrade, improve the existing parks, right?
No, that was the main priority. There are other priorities, like working with the school district to going for the facility like what that could be, acquiring property for the future.
priority of the committee was to improve the existing facilities.
Little water parking there and one of them.
Yes, sir, that was one of the specific recreational facility was recommended. They call it splash parks or water recreation park ground.
So this year is just an update?
That's another day. We have, the body part, you have the report on the actual elements of the park. We have completed the citizen participation, citizen input. We have completed the park process, that was the most important element. We have completed the basic report. The report has different phases. One is the data collection, the other is the analysis of the data, and the other is the text preparation. We have completed that. The only thing that we are missing is the finalizing publication of the report. The report, I said report because this is not a map, it's not a drawing like the one you were showing for the YMCA. This is a booklet, a report that has all these sections, and it has graphics, and it's presented in a pre-ring binder, required by President Online.
Okay, so this is just to move forward with this master plan, right?
Yes, sir.
Move forward.
The issue tonight is that the department plan to be adopted by this city for the state to recognize as people. So there are different options to do that. One is for you to approve adoption contingent on having the report delivered to you before the deadline. The deadline is always the second. The other one, no, I really would like to, special meeting just to review and update the report. And the other is for the mayor to sign the resolution and then bring it at the next council meeting.
Okay, we got it, Mr. Lino, I'll have to cut you off, but we need to move forward better, yes? We'll go ahead and look at that. Do I, any questions on that, guys, Councilman? Any questions for Mr. Lino? No? Okay, do I hear a motion? Motion made by Councilmember Roy Trevino to adopt the Kershaw Park Recreation Open Space Master Plan submitted by Carlos Pereira Vargas, AICP and Associates, and seconded by Councilman James Leon. Any further concerns, questions, comments? All in favor? Motion carries unanimous. Yeah, I'm only abstaining. That's okay. There was 4, 5, 4, and 1 against, vote against was Councilmember Michael. All right.
Thank you, Mayor Cavazos. Thank you, council members. And if you have any idea, let us know. Okay, sure will. Check with Otero, with Liz, you want to do something, any recommendations. And with the public too, if somebody has any idea, want to.
Yeah, the audience to the public can always come in and join us in those committee deals and respect. We'll come in and do those, look into those items. Thanks, sir. Okay. All right, I know it's taking a little long, audience, but at least a little respect, all right? I know it's not everybody, there's some. And they're doing rodeo signs and all that. We'll follow it right, we'll try to do it. So moving on to item G. Okay, discussion, consideration, action for amending ordinance number 2014-03-01 to approve amounts of surety bond coverage for the city manager, finance director, and other selected employees of the city of Kershaw. And it is an action item. Okay, Mr. Mayor? Go ahead.
I'll take that item. The ordinance here, the reason for the amendment, a couple areas in that. The ordinance
approved by the council on March 18th. It's an ordinance number, and if you look at the bottom on section 2, you call for ordinance, and then at the bottom it talks about resolution. That's one of the reasons on that. The agenda item that was presented had to do with just setting an amount for the bond for the city manager, approving and setting the required amount. It had nothing to do with establishing a company, section 1, CNA surety. The amounts, 300,000, we had this on February 11th, and it was presented to the council as a resolution first, and that was tabled. The resolution called for, you want to write the numbers down besides, I'll go down in order. For the city manager, it called for 500,000, the resolution.
When was this resolution?
February 11th, and it was tabled. It was presented as a resolution, and my recommendation was that it should be an ordinance, to set an amount. 500,000 for the city manager, Jose G. Trevino, interim, it said city manager, he was the interim at the time. For director of finance, Jose Alvarez, 750,000. Estrellita Ballesteros, the city clerk, 300,000. All accounts payable, payroll clerk and assistant, 250,000. And then the last two, 5 and 6, they stayed the same. They were the same at 100,000. We tabled that on February 11th, brought it back on March 18th. The amounts, with no input from the council, the amounts went down. And you can see the amounts as they're on this ordinance. The resolution is stated at the bottom, resolution in full force, but at the top is an ordinance. Even the minutes that the council approved, the minutes were to approve the resolution number 2014-0205. That was a resolution in February. So there was never approving the ordinance. The other situation was that the ordinance was never published. Okay? Section 1306 of your charter, the passage of the ordinance and the publication, at least twice in newspaper, is all that's required to make it valid and effective. This is not valid, it's not effective. Never been published.
When I first came in as city clerk, your city manager, Trevino, and Xavier, us three, we sat in that conference room, went through the charter, we found two different sections stating about publishing ordinances. One section states that all of them, another section states that just ones that have to do with fees, so and so forth, traffic violations.
Section 1303, every ordinance imposing a penalty, fine, imprisonment, or forfeiture shall be published at least twice. At the bottom of that section 1303, all the ordinances shall be published twice. And then 1306 says, to be effective, they gotta be passed and published. There's no publication. I mean, I checked all the past editions of the current, and it was never published, so it's not effective. You wanna amend the council, you wanna amend the amounts, that's the council. This is the first time we had an agenda item that actually addressed bonds. And not only for the city manager, but for others elected. And it's in the charter. In fact, the bond for the city manager, the city council shall require the city manager before entering the duties to obtain a bond. Okay? The bond in a reasonable amount as the council may demand. It had never been, I think the handout was passed out to you. A few city managers had the bond. I was city attorney, I started in 95, from 95 to 2006. So those city managers that had a $10,000 bond, you can look at the agendas. We never had an agenda item saying we need to set a $10,000 bond for the city manager. They went out, none of those city managers got bonded before they started the duty. They went out and got bonded during the term. It seems that the council or the city has established $10,000 as a reasonable amount. You know, that's up to the council, whatever amount you want. But with the resolution, 500,000, 300,000, the amounts were ridiculous. They were high. The average bond for the city, for county officials is about $5,000. My bond is $2,500 as Frio County attorney. The DA's bond is $5,000, he covers 5 counties. Judge's bond is $5,000. There's some offices, because they collect a lot of fines, and it goes on a percentage. I know Mr. Rudy Alvarez was at the auditor's office, and it said something like 5,000 up to 10,000, but there was money, and his bond was probably higher. I asked Ana Hernandez, the treasurer, she had a 50,000 and 150,000 bond. What is reasonable? What was your bond, Rudy?
It was 250,000.
250,000.
And you had to have a separate one for the league program, which was 80,000.
And then we had the CEOs also.
Mayor, Councilman, thank you, Council, for that briefing. What I just heard earlier is that, you know, we want to save the city, the taxpayers money. What we're looking into right now is the cost. The city has already set a precedent of city managers getting bonded at a reasonable amount. If we go and for whatever reason, Mr. Trevino was thinking about bonding, he's sending a wrong message to city employees that they cannot be trusted. Why would he do that? Why all of a sudden in the history of Pearsall, does he want all these city employees to be bonded at such a high amount? And secondly, it's about cost. We looked at, I called bonding companies. For a $300,000 bond, it's $1,000 a year. Okay? And then if you go down there, it's $5,000 for everybody. $5,000 in 5 years is $25,000. Why do we want to spend $25,000 on something that is not even reasonable and sending a wrong message to the employees? Council, you took an obligation to save the taxpayer money and to work with the employees. What kind of message are we sending if we set a bond so high for these employees? Now, Judge Luna is here. He can probably expand on that. Another thing is if you look, and some of you have been on the previous council before, on some of these city managers, and look at all the zeros. Jose Trevino, 2013 and 2014, amount of bond, 0. And all this information was gathered through a public information request and verified by the clerk that these numbers are correct. Robert Tobias, 2013, 0. Kathleen Taylor, 2013, 0. 0 bond. Florencio Salceda, 0 bond. Ruben Frausto, 0 bond. Albert Leste, 0 bond. Third, I'm going to tell the council, the city manager does not reconcile any bank statements. The city manager does not handle any money. And the city manager doesn't sign checks for the city. You know, some of the employees are coming to me saying, why do I have to be bonded all of a sudden? We have our utilities clerk that has served the city loyally, dedicated, and trustworthy for over 40 years. And now we want to bond her? We have our accounts payable clerk that has served the city loyally, committed, and trustworthy for over 30 years. And now we want to bond her? It's a matter of doing the right thing for the city. We already set a precedent of 10,000, and council, let's do the right thing.
Did you sign contracts?
Do I sign contracts? Yes.
There was an instance down close by Kingsville where an employee of the city embezzled $750,000. She was not bondable, and they chose to employ her. Because she was not bonded, the city was unable to recuperate any of that. If she would have been bonded, then the bond would have covered her actions.
And council,
Just because in the past things were done, doesn't make it right in the future.
And I agree with that. But you as a city council member in the past these terms were sitting on there, entrusted by the charter to do the right thing, to follow the rule, to follow that. Now, this isolated incident that you're mentioning, county government, city government, state government, we have checks and balances. We have checks and balances. If one clerk, if somebody is stealing and we don't catch it, then somebody's not doing their job. Very simple. In the history of Pearsall, no one has stolen from the city of Pearsall. And I don't think anybody's gonna steal from them.
Resolution 2014-0301 brought to the council back in March of 2014. Was this an attempt to bond everybody?
I want to say there's already an ordinance, isn't there?
It's not effective. You didn't do what it said.
Why was
It
this
was
brought
passed,
up?
but it wasn't published.
No, I'm saying prior to this one.
Why was it brought up to the attention of the council? Why was it, I mean, why did we?
This is the first time it was brought up by the interim city manager. Nobody has ever been bonded of the other city employees.
Who came up with the 300, these two resolutions?
That was all input by the interim city manager. There was no input from the council.
Did he input this because he thought it was good for the community, or he just?
I have no idea, you have to ask him. But 750,000 for director of finance in February, and a month and a half later, it goes down to 300,000. These amounts were more like, in my comment to the council, was they're more like in the line of the performance and payment bonds that the companies have to do. I mean, they're excessive amounts.
Well, apparently previous council felt that it was for a good cause because they approved it unanimously, right?
Not to bond the previous city manager?
No, I'm saying
This resolution.
this resolution.
The resolution, I think there was one council member that was absent. Maybe Alex was absent.
You said you were out.
Yes, she was.
The previous city manager thought this was a good idea and felt it strongly enough to bring it before the council, correct?
The bond's a good idea, it's in the charter, it's required, it's required. Now, why haven't we insisted on a bond for the other city managers? That's the question you should be asking. The bond amount is up to the council. You want to set an amount, the other problem with that, I wouldn't put an amount to a specific person. Because today you can have one city manager, tomorrow you have somebody else. Finance director, it wouldn't be specific, it would be to the office. But those amounts are excessive. You can't agree they're excessive.
My thoughts, excuse me, Councilman. My thoughts on the matter are, yes, we do need surety bonds, because yes, it's part of our charter. We've always followed the charter, and I've always, as a mayor, I want to do the charter. Followed it to the T, that we needed to do it. If it says yes, we need a surety bond, we need a surety bond. There's nothing behind that. Okay, now, as far as the amounts, now I can attest that, mayor, that we did have a surety bond. I didn't see it on the list. But we did have one.
I believe he had one in 2008.
Yeah.
This is at the interim.
Now,
After that ordinance was approved in March, nobody's been monitored.
okay, now the amounts, 10,000, I was doing some research and looking at everything, looking at all this. Now, the surety bonds, of course, it's about trust, faith, it's just like our insurances and anything. We hope our house never gets burned. Sometimes it does. We hope we never have a crash, sometimes. No, it's something to protect us, and it's just because, it's not because we don't trust anybody. With all due respect, we don't, trust anybody, we trust them. But if it does happen, we have a little surety, we have a little something backing us up that will help us out. Now, yes, the amounts have to be big, they could be excessive. Now, the only thing that I can see is the $10,000 amounts that date back from the 80s to 2000 or something like that. What I was thinking about all this, and, when you're retired, you got a lot of time to think about stuff, So I'm thinking about all this and going through all this in my mind and all this, what to deal with. Well, we're at a lot higher vulnerability rate at this point than what we were back in 2000 or back in 88. I mean, with all this mess of stuff that we have around here, it's just like, with all due respect, if you do have a Volkswagen, say, I have a Volkswagen, I go to a Cadillac, they're not going to insure me for a Volkswagen. They're not going to do that. So I'm all for having a surety bond. Charter says yes. Now, as far as the amount, maybe yes, maybe 500,000 or 300,000 is a little bit too steep. But I do really want to continue, Council, to have a surety bond, just as a safety net that we all have in all our lives that we have. And that's what I would really want to propose. Now, as far as the amounts, you know, if we look at, say, here's the 300,000 that is Pavilion proposed, right? Well, you said it was $1,000 a year for each one of those, total of 25,000?
A total of 5,000 a year.
Per year, 5,000 per year.
I'll do more than that, it's online.
Man, I'm trying to go over my.
I have a question.
You know,
said
Okay,
that-
now, read me, now, I'll go just one comment, that's it. We can't, we keep going.
No, mine's just a question.
Go ahead.
You guys, they said they proposed these $5,750,000 on February 11th. Then you came back and said on March 18th, they proposed different amounts and you went lower. What were they? Just for the record.
300.
300 for who?
City manager,
Uh-huh.
finance director, 100 for clerk, 150 for payroll, 100 for utility, 100 for municipal.
And now, in Mr. Alvarez, finance director's case, I know he's gonna be having a lot more, I trust him. Don't take me wrong, Mr. Alvarez, I trust him.
No, this is insurance.
Yes, it's insurance.
It's
And,
just
you
part
know,
of the
if I remember correctly, you could, maybe if I'm wrong, when I was mayor, I think our hotel tax was maybe 60,000-70,000. I think, if I remember correctly, I'm trying to think back, go back to my records and all that. And, what are we looking at now? Over $1 million? Maybe more. Right, am I correct?
Not yet.
Not yet, but it's in the projection.
Last year, we had like 750,000.
150,000, 70,000, so that's a lot of money that's gonna go through his hand, and it might not be here, somebody might turn, somebody might crash. It's just a saving. It's just a saving, but I mean, we don't have to vote. It's just a little saving.
A lot of people don't stay that long to get about it.
But we gotta get stuff. Good job.
But this would also ensure that in case you made a mistake, right? It would also not only protect the city, but it would protect you as an individual. Is that
Well,
correct?
it protects mostly against, stealing, but if it, I think it is also, if I make a mistake that costs the city money.
It's an insurance, in case of.
So can we go back and look at some figures, more reasonable figure, maybe not for 300,000, maybe not for
I mean, the charter
5,000?
says,
But not to 10,000, I mean, we're not better than
I mean,
5,000.
whatever council as a group, as a body, we deemed as reasonable.
I can poll city in our similar size and budget wise, and I can bring it back and tell you exactly how much, what they're doing and versus what we should be doing.
Because I see Mr. Alvarez as a 300,000, I think worth all 300, he's gonna need to, because he's kind of a lot of money that's
I mentioned
coming
something.
here in the next few years.
I
Maybe
mentioned
it's not, don't have as much, maybe we're down on.
Right, because he reconciles and,
Yeah.
yeah, and
You know, something, but, you know, we need to keep on it. We got to.
Yeah, whatever amount the city pays for it.
Yeah, we're still paying.
It doesn't charge.
I imagine somebody put some time and effort to come up with these numbers, they just didn't. Can we get figures on both of these resolutions, 2014-0201 and 2014-0301? I mean, they're both, you know, whether we choose one or the other, but can we get quotes on both of these or numbers on these?
You know, well, to me, those are reasonable numbers that are here on this one, that's not a legal ordinance or whatever, you know, it's just, maybe, you know, he doesn't handle money like Mr. Alvarez handles here, or even the other ones down there at the bottom, but we need to cover.
What you need to do is amend and come up with a reasonable amount, and change the amount here, and just be specific.
I personally, I would have to say I agree with you, Mr. Cavazos, on the 300, those sound like reasonable numbers. That's which way you were moving towards.
Financial director.
No, I was kind of looking at that, but I think the financial director, you know, he does have a, I think he might be more. Maybe keep him at 300 and see what figures we got at 200 for the city manager, or take the money to the next. Take the money back. Who takes the money to the next? That's another question, I don't know. They don't know, maybe they are.
it's not the city manager.
Not the city manager,
It's either Mary or
So Yeah, that's the accounts payable clerk and the, all those, and he's gotta go through that, some finances. Let's look at some numbers, Councilman, I think we need to look at some numbers, more reasonable numbers, and see what, definitely we do have to be, I would think we have to, be assured that bonded, to have the safe net over us, just a matter of what we think is gonna be, the right amount of us, I think 325,000 is good.
County tax, county tax assessor collector was no more than $100,000. We had an incident, and you guys are aware of the incident. He was bonded for $50,000. And getting to the Councilman Diallo's comment on this stuff, yeah, there's liable, but they're just gonna pay for the amount of the bond. The county recovered that money, just for the amount of the bond. But there's a lot of money.
How much was that incident? How much was the total of that incident?
It was over 400,000, and he was bonded for 50,000. But our bond guidelines say not to exceed 100,000 for the county, from 2,500 to 100,000. And those are county, those are elected officials. Most of the guys here, they're employees, they're appointed officials. So whatever amount you guys want on that stuff, the city pays for it, but 100,000 would be reasonable. And like I said, it's never been, we're going 10 times over the 10,000 that the city has set a precedent. 100,000 for the city manager, 100,000 for, and it's all an insurance for wrongful acts. It only clicks in if it's a wrongful act. It's a form of insurance.
Why were these overlooked?
That's the city council as a body. The charter was there. In fact, the last one right there, Andres Garza, that was prior to the charter. The charter didn't go into effect in '94. It's just the council, for whatever reason, looked the other way. The charter provision was there. Has the council made a demand on a bond? We haven't made a demand. Right. There was never a demand, we never said a reasonable amount. This is a good idea, to have a reasonable amount, but do it specific to the department. I think the clerks are excessive at those amounts, $150,000, $100,000, they're excessive.
The council might have not demanded it, but the city charter demanded it.
Right. The charter, yeah. I mean, it's, what I say about the charter is selective enforcement. When you guys wanted to do it, you look at the charter, oh, there's a section 608, there's a bond for the city manager. But, the last 6 years, they haven't been bonded.
You think this, we have, you think the number maybe looks back at it?
I want to make a motion to bond the city manager for 2,000. And the other was.
Open up the motion.
That's my motion.
Any
That's my
other
motion.
comments? Okay, motion has to go forward to bond city manager for $10,000. But now, with this, excuse me, I'm sorry. But this ordinance is, could be effective since it's not been publicized or anything, or?
It will be effective. It's not effective yet. What we want to do is change the amount that the council wants to do. Change the amount. And change the terminology there. You've got ordinance at the top and resolution at the bottom.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So we got to publish it twice.
Okay. Okay, excuse me, Councilman. Motion's on the table to, bond the city manager at, amend the amount of city manager for 10,000. Just city manager, anything else?
Yeah, that's the rest of it. I would recommend you look at all of
Recommend
them.
2,000 for all of them, or just the city manager?
Just the city manager.
Just-
Like Mr. Alvarez, fire, that's it. He handles more money than anybody else.
Well, actually, I don't handle any money, but
So, do we need to maybe wait up on this and come up with some concrete figures?
Yeah, the motion is, yes, the motion.
Yeah, but I'm just, before we. So, okay, motion's on there, to bond the city manager only, $10,000 at this point. Do I hear a second? Seconded by, Maggie Alisa. All in favor?